cut to the chase. Everyone give me some space. Don't fall out, we fall into place. Every step walking with grace, amen. Keeping my foot off the brakes. Impact, I'm ready to brace.
Welcome back. Welcome back to this Jawn Active Podcast. This is your boy Blurdock, aka the Black Nerd and Jock. And not with me today is the Hood Nerd. He's out sick. He's feeling a little under the weather. He can't really speak too well. Got the sniffles and everything. He's not looking too good. But he sends a shout out, sends his love to everyone here. He will be back next week. We will get it back on next week. And we will welcome him back with open arms. Miss you, bro. But a lot of things have happened. And that's part of the reason why we have not did an episode last week. Kind of been sick and kind of been busy. We were going to do it over this past weekend, but he ended up getting sick. And, we wanted to try to wait it out as long as we could and didn't want to be too far ahead when it comes to, what happened this past weekend, because a lot of things happened this past weekend. And, first and foremost, let's get right into it. Rest in peace to James Vanderbeek, Mr. Dawson Creek, Mr. Varsity Blues himself, James Vanderbeek. James Vanderbeek had passed away today, and it's kind of sad. I didn't really watch Dawson's Creek. I think I did see Varsity Blues. I wasn't really a fan of James Vanderbeek, but I'm still want to give a shout out and rest in peace. I think Hood Nerd had, probably watched Dawson's Creek growing up. I didn't really watch it. I can't really touch too much on the show because that just wasn't really, really my cup of tea. But, rest in peace to James Vanderbeek. He'd been battling cancer for a few years, and they had a GoFundMe plan for his funeral. And, I guess he needed help financially. People were trying to, other celebrity friends were trying to help him out financially with the, pay some bills and stuff like that. And that's dope of them. That's dope of them to get that together, before, before his passing. But, rest in peace to James Vanderbeek. I believe the type of cancer that he was dealing with was, I believe it was a colon cancer, but let me double check on that. James Vanderbeek, he was dealing with, yes, he had passed away at the age of 48. And, man, he has 6 children. And it's just sad, it's sad for the kids, and that's just a terrible way to go out. It was a colorectal cancer, so basically colon cancer. So he did die of colon cancer, and rest in peace to James Vanderbeek, Mr. Dawson Creek himself. Rest in peace, brother. There's a lot of things to talk about, this past weekend. And, I guess I'll kind of get some of the hard shit out of the way, the politics. Again, politics has been thrown in our face, it's showing up on our feed, kind of hard to miss it. I guess they did a kind of a court hearing today, for the Epstein files with, Attorney General, Attorney General Pam Bondi. And yeah, that shit was wild. She did not answer a fucking question that all the representatives have asked. They asked her about, have you indicted any of the perpetrators in these files? She didn't answer that. She just walked around it. They even asked her to turn around and and apologized to the victims that actually did show up and raised their hand that they didn't get to go to the Department of Justice to, to state their claims. And she didn't even bother to turn around and look at them. And she even the lady, I can't remember who the lady was, asked her, and you turn around, she just walking around that too, asking, said, "Oh, did you ask the person that was here twice before me?" And it's like that's not what we're asking. We're asking you to turn around and apologize. Another person asked about something else. She went into the Dow Jones and Nasdaq shit, and was just like, what the fuck that got to do with the case? What that got to do with the question? And and the counselor himself is basically like, yo, she's gonna answer your question. You may not like the way that she answered your question, but she's gonna answer the question. It's like she did not answer any question. And somebody else also accused her of lying, possibly lying under oath. And that's probably why she ain't gonna answer any of the shit, because she didn't want to lie under oath. Because that's why she walked around, danced around, tap danced, twerked all around his fucking, questions, and was not answering anything, just getting into shouting matches with them. I mean, that goes to show that these people are guilty. And I guess earlier too, what I also remember is she said that if we indicted all of the men that's in these files, the country would be basically at a disarray. And I'm like, so you're not worried about the victims at all. You can care less about the victims. All you care about is these people here that you're getting orders from and that you're protecting. You're protecting the predators and not the victims at all. And even in some of these files, I have seen some of these files, they spent so much time redacting everybody else's name that she also got called out, that some of the victims' names got put out there because they didn't redact them. That was your sole purpose and sole job you're supposed to do, is redact all the victims' names. You guys weren't worried about the victims' name. You put all the victims' name out there, and you guys did something with Donald Trump's name, especially with his name with the DON and T, because there was some shit in there that did not need to be redacted. Like somebody says something like, I don't think I'll be able to make it there. Why is don't redacted? Oh, Don T. Makes sense. But they're just walking around this shit and they're just trying to distract us like they always do. And it just getting out of hand. It don't make any sense. And yeah, it makes sense on why they're doing it. It's just fucking crazy that they are continuously protecting these predators because they got money and they pretty much run the country. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say on that. I mean, the Minnesota shit, from what I understand, it is dying down. There's some white people in the city that that actually put a big smile on my face that I did. I saw some reports that some white people out there putting up Mexican flags on their cars to waste ICE agents' time. I'm pulling them over, so they're willing to get pulled over to waste the ICE agents' time. So there's a whole bunch of Mexican flags going out there. And yeah, so it's just like, damn, that's crazy. But hey, unity right there, baby. Unity. I like it. Speaking of unity, we got the Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl I mean, some people may not really like it because it wasn't really a high scoring game too much. It wasn't a high flying, high scoring game. But it was an entertaining game. It was a defensive ran game, a defensive play game. Seattle, I mean, they bullied New England. Yeah, I believe the score was, damn, been so long, I don't remember what the score was, but Seattle pretty much handled the New England Patriots, and the final score of that was 29-13. It didn't look like that too much in the game, but 29-13. Drake May just couldn't go anywhere. Drake May just couldn't do anything. He was just getting pummeled all game. He could not breathe. And the crazy thing about that is, Josh McDaniel, the offensive coordinator, didn't change anything up. Didn't go short routes or quick passes, or try to mix it up a little bit to try to give him some room. Quick three and out. 3-step drop back. It was nothing. Try to get the ball out of his hands quickly. He was just getting shit, basically paused. He was just getting ran through. I mean, the offensive line was not protecting him. But Seattle defense on a 4-man rush was giving it to the Patriots. Sam Darnold, a lot of people didn't really have a lot of faith in Sam Darnold, but he played very, very well. Just showed that a lot of these quarterbacks, like the Baker Mayfields and Sam Darnold's, and there was another quarterback too that for a little bit, Kirk Cousins too. It's like if they get into the right system and they have the right players around them, they can play pretty well. They have always been talented. Nobody really said that they were actually like bad quarterbacks, or they didn't have a good arm. They weren't talented. It was just the team that they were put on just didn't work out for them. So, shout out to Sam Darnold for finally get that Super Bowl. Nobody ever thought he was going to get one. I mean, he was just, a leaf in the wind that, they thought he was just going to just fly away and just be a journeyman quarterback. But congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. And I guess, the Raiders got a new coach. And we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, get ready for the off season for the NFL. Basketball season starting. I know there's been a couple of fights that's happened recently. I ain't really watched basketball too much. I ain't really watched basketball too much. But yeah, let's get ready for the off season. But back to the Super Bowl halftime show. Bad Bunny. Didn't understand the words this man was saying, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. I saw some of the messages there, and later somebody explained to me some of the messages that happened into the Super Bowl halftime show, and I was like, damn, that's actually a powerful message. With the light poles up there, I found out that they're still dealing with not having any lights in Puerto Rico. They had a real taco stand out there. I believe it was a taco stand. Yeah. So, but some of the music I did recognize. I didn't know it was him. I heard some of the music on the radio, and I thought, okay, this is kind of slap. But I didn't know it was him, and I thought, oh, okay, I can see why people fuck with Bad Bunny. He's an amazing artist. Now I want to learn Spanish just so I can listen to some of his shit. But yeah, it was a phenomenal show. I think the numbers they finally got the numbers out. I think it was like 128 million, 127 million, and I think it's the fourth most watched Super Bowl halftime show ever. And yeah, it was just it was an amazing show, and of course, you had the all super powerful, great Turning Point USA Real American halftime show. Guess what their numbers did? Live, up to 6 million. Live, 6 million concurrent viewers. I even kind of went on there just to see. I just wanted to see what the numbers were, and I'm be honest with y'all. The little surprise is that many, 6 million, and then I guess by the next day it went up to 20 million. Of course, they're gonna hit it on repeat to try to what I think is try to catch up to the Super Bowl, which is not gonna happen. You can play it as many times as you want, but Bad Bunny's still gonna outbeat it. The real Super Bowl is gonna outbeat it. And people have to understand that yes, NFL is an American sport. NFL, the National Football League, is an American sport, but it is a worldwide event. People all over the world watch the NFL. So them putting out an all-American show meant absolutely nothing. I like, for what? What did you put out all of you? And you even got beat out by your own Americans. Americans didn't watch that shit. Some people watched it and they try to sit there and justify why they watch it. That's good for you. If you want us to watch it because of that, cool. Go right ahead. Nobody care. Because you already know more people. I can't believe that they thought that they was actually going to battle with, the Super Bowl. It didn't matter who it was. It didn't matter who it was going to be. The Super Bowl is always going to outplay any kind of other show you have. Hell, actually, I want to know what the view was for the pregame show that they had with Green Day and them. But I didn't even think about that until now. But yeah, it was just and it's funny, and I don't even know how true this is, but I saw a report that even the Puppy Bowl got more concurrent views than the All-American halftime show. 13 million to 6 million is crazy. Like 13 million people watched the Puppy Bowl. A puppy bowl, a whole bunch of little puppies, cute little puppies running around on a 20 by 20 football field. I don't know how big it is, but it's a little man-made football field. And they got 13 million views. I didn't even know that. I kind of forgot that existed. But that still ended up getting 13 million views over 6 million. That's crazy. That is crazy. It goes to show how much people care about what kind of rhetoric you guys are trying to put out there. Enjoy the show. Just because you don't want it to be, because you want it to be in English. Hell, last year, half of y'all didn't even understand or didn't even listen to Kendrick Lamar. But a lot of people watched it. I didn't hear an uproar on that. 'Cause I know a lot of y'all didn't listen to Kendrick Lamar's music. But you probably still watched it, didn't have an uproar. But because you found out it was going to be in all Spanish, and that triggered y'all, and a lot of y'all didn't realize that Puerto Rico is American. It's in America. It's part of the USA. And then you guys was like, oh, you guys changed the narrative from he's not American to he's speaking in Spanish. So what? You guys are getting really butthurt about this shit, and the shit is crazy. But I really enjoyed the Super Bowl. I really enjoyed the Super Bowl halftime show. I mean, my shoulder was over here just just moving on his own. Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand what he's doing, what he's saying, but I'm out here. That shit was a good time. That shit was a good time, and I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. And people even try to argue with me about it when I posted up something about it. And they even tried to diminish the views for the Super Bowl halftime show. They're trying to find ways to diminish the views of the Super Bowl halftime show. And I'm like, okay, still more than what happened. Even if the views went down while watching it, still a hell lot more than what the American halftime show was, the Turning Point show was. And don't even get me started on that Turning Point shit, because the fact that Kid Rock was even out there and he had the audacity to have a song about Jesus when one of his lyrics talked about his preference of underage girls. I don't want to get into that, but great Super Bowl halftime show. And another note with the Super Bowl halftime show, there's a poll that came out for the Billboard had asked, who do you want your next artist to be? And I guess they gave a list. And 83% of people picked America's not going to be happy with this, or Turning Point America, or MAGAs, is not going to be happy about this if the NFL actually listens to this poll. BTS. If you don't know who BTS is, this is a K-pop group from Korea. I don't know if it's North Korea or South Korea. I believe it's South Korea, actually. They're actually from South Korea. Reason, if you haven't heard of them in the past few years, is I just found out they had to serve mandatory military service. And they just served their time in the military. And now they're back out. They're back out there about to do their thing. And some of the stuff I heard from BTS some years ago, not gonna lie, again, don't understand the word that they're saying. But I'm fucking with it. So BTS, I want them to be in the next halftime show, next year's halftime show. Please let this happen. Please let this happen to see how much we don't care about the Turning Point halftime show. That shit is just more money for Erica Kirk. That's all it is. Y'all just paying her. Y'all just getting her paid. That's all y'all doing. Y'all just getting her paid. But keep paying Erica Kirk, and and act like, because she can give two shits about what's going on. Based off of this, I'm not gonna necessarily speak on everything or how she really feels, but I just know that she's getting paid from the audience, thanks to you guys. But just I don't really have a lot to say, because this is where Hood Nerd will come in. But I guess I'll just go into what's been happening in the past couple of weeks and so. The Minnesota thing, died down. The ICE, they're still out there, but now it seems like some of the agents or raids or whatever you want to call it are kind of being, brought, kind of being died down. They're kind of removing them from certain cities and just trying to get rid of them because I saw another thing where, out of the 400, I believe, arrests, 400,000 arrests that have been made for ICE, less than 14% of them have had violent criminal records. Your main purpose was to do, criminal records, but people with violent criminals, and that hasn't been the case. It's just been racism all over with that. But yeah, let's see. So some other stuff I do, want to talk about. Basketball seasons. They got the All Star game happening, had All Star weekend. Like I said before, I wasn't really paying too much attention to that because I just haven't. I mean, basketball is kind of losing me. Basketball is kind of losing me. The NBA is really losing me. Just recently saw a clip of a player that clearly traveled, and I'm like, yo, I know that is nowhere near a gather step there. He took 3 steps right there. And it just got basketball just kind of got a little soft for me, so I don't really watch it like I used to. But there's not a lot of sports talk that I think of. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep trying to go on as long as I can with this, without the hood nerd, because his take would actually, you know, make this podcast a little longer. But uh, I'm trying to think of something before I get to my last, because I guess I did see something earlier today that kind of got me confused, and I tried to do more research on it, and it was Spider Noir. It's a Spider-Man movie with Nicolas Cage. It was 1930s kind of 1930s New York kind of Great Depression era Spider-Man. I guess he's like in a black cape or black jacket with low top hat or fedora, and yeah, I mean it's a cool costume, and I was like, oh, okay, Nicolas Cage is still kind of somewhat, he's playing the character but also voicing the character too. He voiced the character in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, so that's cool, but in this series, the Spider Noir series that's actually coming on Amazon Prime, he's playing a character named Ben Riley, who is actually supposed to be Scarlet Spider. So I'm kind of confused on what they're doing, but he's also a clone Peter Parker, so maybe they're just using him for Spider Noir. I don't know why they don't use the other Peter Parker, the 1930s Peter Parker, and just use him. But I guess I'll give it a shot. Since I'm a nerd, I like comic books and stuff like that. I will give it a shot. I'm not too sure about it. I'm a little worried. I mean, it's the producers of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but anytime somebody breaks away, excuse me, anytime somebody like kind of break away and want to do their own thing involving somewhat of a project that they did, I would say 8 times out of 10 it doesn't work out. But I guess I'm a little interested in that show just to see how it is. I mean, it's Nicolas Cage. He's kind of been up and down for me. I haven't really been like a huge fan of Nicolas Cage, but I'm going to give it a shot because it is comic book related. And speaking of which, something I had recently watched that's comic book related is Wonder Man. Uh, that was a good show. That was actually a good show. Marvel's Wonder Man was actually a pretty good show. I like how they did kind of focus on his life of trying to be an actor and trying to hide his powers. And there was a lot of messages in there. And, especially with people that are trying to get into the acting world. People that are trying to get into the acting world, is there's scenes in there that kind of tells you, kind of, opens your eyes and realize, when the director wants you to be you, he's not saying, you know, he's telling you to be you, or he or she is telling you to be you. And, you feel like you gotta hide it, gotta hide that certain part of you because you don't think it'll work in Hollywood. A lot of times, these directors want the real you because they want authenticity. Authenticity. I don't even know if I'm saying that word correctly. Authenticity. Authenticity. There we go. Authenticity. So they want something different. Some directors and want something different. Some studio wants something different. A lot of these studios want to do the same shit over and over, and that's what it's kind of been upsetting me with Hollywood. And this is a new fresh take, and that's why I enjoy it. Why I enjoy stuff like that. I enjoy Predator battling because it's like, yeah, it's a character, but it's a whole new spin on it, making a whole new universe. I love what I believe it's Dan Trachtenberg on what he's doing with the Predator universe. But Wonder Man is a good show. I advise you to watch it. I think it's a really good show. It's a different take, but keep him away from the new Captain America. Because if anybody's seen Black Mirror, the Black Mirror episode with Yahya Mateen, Yahya, I think it's Yahya Mateen, and Clarence from Clarenbrook. Yeah, just keep those two away because we don't need another episode of that Black Mirror. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, the episode of Black Mirror. The episode, because it's another anthology series. It's pretty good, by the way. The episode where two best friends are playing video games, and they're playing like a Street Fighter, Tekken, virtual fighter type game. And I guess it's very immersive. So you kind of put it, on to kind of basically put it on your head and kind of knocks you out, but it gets you into the game. And you're actually fighting. And you're actually feeling the punches, you're actually feeling the kicks and everything that's happening within the game. So you're not going to die, so that's not going to happen. So you're feeling every sensation of the game. So one of the guys, Yaya, he's a playboy. His character is a playboy. And he decides, all right, I'm going to choose this girl. And his best friend, who's married, kind of corny, whatever, just a stay-at-home husband or whatever. Or I don't even know if he's stay-at-home, but he's just kind of a like straight-laced husband. I guess you can do more in this game than just fighting. So, yeah, they get down and busy, and they feel the sensation in this game. So, yeah, they have a whole episode of that, and kind of get caught in their feelings like, yo, maybe we should, maybe there's more than just us being friends. Maybe we can be more than friends. But yeah, it's a whole episode of that. So that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm getting the reference from, and saying keep them niggas away from each other. Cause we don't need another episode of that Black Mirror. That shit was wild. And I love playing video games. I don't ever want to get into that immersion to a game like that. I don't want to feel what the game is feeling. That's crazy. But yeah, Wonder Man's a good show. You should watch it. Let's see. Any other shows I've been watching? Just I've been watching some anime. Just the usual anime. Try to get back into my nerd gear. Yeah, I think that's all I have for now. So now on every episode, what me and Hood Nerd want to do is we want to give a shout out to the people, places, and things that were very impactful and near dear to our hearts. Since we had did that before the first time, if you have watched our episodes, the first time was Topanga. Topanga from Boy Meets World. That had to be every guy's first crush right there. I know I don't know if that was my first crush, but she was a crush for me. Huge impact in my life. But this time, the crush oh no, sorry, no crush, no crush, no crush. But hell, fuck it. If it's gonna be a man crush, it's gonna be a man crush. The man crush, the person that was near dear to my heart, and I had spoke with her nerd on it, and we both fuck with this dude. It's Mr. Motherfucking Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Man, I don't know how much of an impact he has had on Hood Nerd, but for my life, I found out within recent years that this man, along with my late grandmother, had a huge, huge impact on my life. And the reason I am the way that I am today is because of this man. I can go on and on about this man, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I remember watching him as a kid and just seeing him come through that door, putting away his coat, putting away his shoes, and grabbing another coat, putting that on, putting another sweater on, and putting on another pair of shoes. And I'm like, I want that sweater. And funny enough, I got 3 cardigan sweaters because of him. I ended up buying 3 cardigan sweaters. I got to get the zip up ones though. I still got to get the zip up ones. These are just button up ones, but I got to get the zip ups. And got to get them shoes too. I mean, Mr. Rogers was fly. He had a fly outfit. And a little unknown fact, a little fun fact. His mother actually made him all those sweaters that he wears. And I have watched that show a lot as a kid. I, it's a lot of things I didn't know growing up, and then I heard later on, as I done got older, that people were saying Mr. Rogers was gay, or that he was a lover of gays and stuff like that. And I was like, hold on, wait, what? It's like, come on, man, not Mr. Rogers. But even if he was, it was just like, is this not the same man that I seen? Until I saw a documentary out. And I believe it was called Would You Be My Neighbor? And I watched that documentary and I learned a lot about Mr. Rogers. And I didn't know that, 143 meant I love you. And that he wanted to weigh 143 pounds so he can look at that scale and be like, I love you. He wanted to love every single day. And just watching him and watching this documentary and finding out how many lives he has changed, how many kids' lives he has changed, and even people that have grown up. There was the mailman on there, and I remember the mailman. I didn't know that he was gay. Mr. Rogers didn't care. He didn't care. He wanted to come out and tell him he wanted to come out on the show and tell him that he was gay. But Mr. Rogers was like, I don't think this is the right time. And he thought, oh, he's discriminating against gay people now. But he was like, nah, that's not even the case. He was like, you may be ready to come out, but the world is not ready to come out. The world is not ready for you. And he looked at that man. He was like, he's actually looking out for me. You know, the world is vicious as they are in the '70s. They're not gonna welcome me. They're probably gonna try to fire me at some point in the show. And he didn't want that for him. He was like, but when it's time, you can come out publicly. But right now is not the time because the world is not ready for you. And he still loved him, regardless. Still wanted him on the show. He didn't want him to leave the show. He didn't care what it was going to do to his brand or what it was going to do to his show. He just wanted to make sure that he still is part of the show. And that made me look at him and have more respect for Mr. Rogers because all he cared to do was love. Hell, his own wife even said it. She would get annoyed that this man wouldn't even get angry. And I'm a person that really don't get angry too much. And I sit there and think about, should I get angry for certain things? And I guess Mr. Rogers is the same way. And I found out I got that from him, from watching him, because I wanted to be as peaceful as Mr. Rogers was. And his wife had said that the only time that she saw him angry was when he gets on the piano and he'll play a song, then he'll stop for a minute, and then he'll just hit the keys very hard, and that lets out his anger. And I was like, yo, I kind of do that, but not with the piano keys. I do that if somebody upsets me, outside of my wife. She's the only one that knows how to get to me. But if somebody tries to upset me, the one thing I found out, and I found out by accident, is all I gotta say is, you can kiss my ass. And all that shit just leaves. It's just gone. And don't know why it worked, but it works. And I keep saying, if somebody try to upset me, somebody try to piss me off, it's like, you know what? You're not worth my time. You can just kiss my ass. And then that's it. It's just gone. Hell, even right now, I felt a little relief right now. Nobody pissed me off. I just like saying it, I guess. But, yeah, Mr. Rogers played a huge part in my life. And the last thing that I would say that made me very sad, but very happy at the same time, it's when I watched his movie, with Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers. And I had told this to many people before. There was a scene in this movie the movie is about a reporter trying to find out the real Mr. Rogers and see if he's really who he really says he is. And he's trying to find any negative thing about Mr. Rogers to put it out there. But there was a scene in this movie where Mr. Rogers, Tom Hanks, was, I guess, on a bus or a train or something. He was sitting in a car, sitting on the bus, and he was going to meet up with the reporter. And there was, a whole bunch of people on the bus. I think I may have been in New York. It looked like New York, but it was kind of rugged. It was a kind of rugged area, and it was rugged people, all different types of backgrounds and races and sexes and stuff like that. And two little girls spotted Mr. Rogers sitting there, and when they saw him, they immediately started singing the theme song for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And people are looking around like, what the hell, this girl's singing around. Then they see him, and they all start singing like one by one. All these people come together and start singing the Mr. Rogers theme song. That shit brought a tear to my eye. I mean, I cried. I was watching this shit somewhere by myself, and I cried watching this shit because it made me think, despite everything that we go through, our background, our beliefs, our sex, our race, whatever differences that we have, this man has brought us together to just focus on trying to be happy. And that song made people happy. And that have them reminisce what they were watching as kids, or the adults were singing this. It wasn't just all kids. I think they were the only two kids. I think everybody else were adults. And it was a heartwarming moment, and it was also a sad moment. That's why I kind of cried, because it's like, why can't we just all get along? This whole world, this whole country, why can't we just get along? Why we gotta be so divided? And that's what pisses me off about this country. And this country's been like this for years. I mean, this country has been dividing us for years. And the main thing that divides us is the color green. It's the greenbacks. Money. Money is what divides us. Money is what started the slavery. Money is what built the railroads, using other people to build railroads, using other race, using the Asians to build railroads. And now it's like, when they feel like the money is being taken away or money is being given out, they try to take them away, like the illegals, And now it's like, somebody that's in control, that's all about money, and little girls wants to have control of everything. He wants to have control of everything, and it's just, people will follow that. Some people will follow that, and then you have other people fighting against that. And you have a lot more people fighting against that, but you hear the bigger voices on the smaller community of people that follow that, because a lot of them have more money. And money or not, it's just so sad that we are so divided. And that's why that scene really hit home for me, because I feel like we can have somebody like Mr. Rogers running the country. There'll be a lot more love than hate. Something that Bad Bunny had protested in the halftime Super Bowl show. So, I'm going to end off with that. So, thank you for listening, Hood Nerd. See you next week. We're going to be on next week, and we're going to be back in the flash. Thanks for listening. Peace out.